Now we'll be studying in more detail the continuous control systems. So whenever we say continuous control, the variable what we want to control is of a continuous type. The idea is to maintain it at the required value. So what are the examples of continuous processes in which the continuous variables have to be controlled? So in case of the process industry, we are having the chemical reactions which depend on the temperature, the pressure, the flow rate of the reactants. All these are continuous variables which have to be controlled. In case of the discrete manufacturing industries, the continuous variables can be the movement of the tool to machine a complex profile, wherein the tool position has to be continuously controlled to get the required profile. Otherwise, there will be error in the profile which is generated. So a continuous control system can be used in both process industries as well as discrete manufacturing industries, but it is used in the control of a continuous parameter or a continuous variable. That is the important thing to remember. Or what are the ways in which the continuous control systems are implemented to ensure that the output variables are at the desired levels. The first method is the regulatory control. So it is more similar to the feedback control system. You are measuring the output variables and then you are giving the signal to the process to ensure that the output variables are at the desired level. But in a given process, there can be more than one parameter and there can be several output variables. Now, in case of the regulatory control, unlike in the simple feedback system, there will be something called as a performance measure. So this performance measure is calculated either based on the output variables, and instead of controlling the individual output variables, this performance measure is what will be controlled at the target level. Maybe in the simplest case, the material removal rate can be the performance measure. The material removal rate is basically a function of feed, the depth of cut, and the cutting speed. If you are increasing the feed rate, definitely the material removal rate is going to increase. But we cannot have unrealistically very high material removal rates for a given process. So you are going to specify the performance measure as so much amount of material removal rate, and based on the feed and the depth of cut that is being applied, this performance measure will be calculated, and whatever variations are required to reach the target performance level, that will be done by either by increasing the speed or by increasing the feed or by increasing the depth of cut to ensure that the performance measure is achieved. The index of performance is what is used to control the system. So it is a very simple system. Now whatever the variation is happening, that is being only detected after the measurement of the output variables, that is the process has already taken place. So once the process is completed, or after certain time after the process is completed, only then it is possible to implement the controlling action, but not while the process is happening. So this is the regulatory control. In the regulatory control, if there is no material is there, then there is no chance there is no question of increasing the feed or the depth of cut. If the material is very hard, then the performance measure will drop, because the tool cannot move because of the harder material. Then the regulatory control will implement increasing the speed and increasing the feed to improve the performance measure, which may create some problem to the workpiece, or it may create problem to the tool, because the high forces generated may damage. This is one of the issues associated with the regulatory control. The next one is the feed forward control. So here there is a additional element called as feed forward control element that will monitor the process itself apart from the measurement of the output variables. So in the example what we have discussed previously, that is a material removal rate. For example, if there is no material available on the workpiece, then it is considered as a disturbance, which means unexpected has happened. Maybe that will be considered, or if the material is very hard, that is also a disturbance. So the disturbances will be considered as they are happening, and appropriate controls are implemented either to increase the parameters or decrease the parameters, thereby to ensure that the performance measure is at the target value. Here we need not wait for the process to complete at a particular level in order to implement the control function. When we detect before the process is completed, we are able to detect the disturbances that are happening. Thereby we are able to change the input parameters to get the required performance measure. So it is a simple feed forward control system. So in feed forward control, we have to understand all the possible disturbances, and we have to make a suitable measurements for them, and if they are detected, then suitable control actions have to be implemented, which may not be possible in all the cases. So the example of the material removal rate, if you have placed a very hard material, as the machining is happening, the speed is going to drop, the performance measure is going to drop. The system has detected a disturbance which has happened. Maybe it will simply reduce, maybe it is going to increase the speed or decrease the speed, because how exactly to behave cannot be completely implemented using purely feed forward control elements. So in case of the example discussed earlier, we should be able to detect the disturbances. So for example, a CNC machine is loaded with a workpiece which is more hard, then the disturbance has to be detected. So maybe we will have a sensor which is going to tell the cutting forces. So when the spindle begins to make a contact and tries to remove the material, instantaneously a signal is generated to the feed forward control element, indicating that a very high force is detected, and this information will be used by the controller to change some process parameter to try and improve the performance measure if possible. But this is not a very ideal system, because too many parameters have to be measured, and too many sensors are required to measure or to detect the various possible disturbances. So the overall system will become cumbersome. The next one is the steady state optimization. So here we can see we are not making any measurement of the output variable. So in order to implement the steady state optimization, we should have a complete mathematical model of the process. Whenever we say mathematical model, it means there should be a perfectly known relationship between the output variables and the input parameters. So once this particular relationship is known, then we will say that mathematical model of the process and input parameters is available. Then by knowing the relationship, we can find out the performance index or performance measure. Then we will say what is the desired index of performance that we can determine. So once we know the desired index of performance, it is possible to say what should be the output variables. For the particular output variables, what should be the input variables can be determined by using proper algorithms. Once these input variables are determined, those will be given to the process so that it is performing to achieve the required variables. Thereby the performance measure is also achieved. So when does it work? It will work only when we know the perfect relationship between the output variables and the input parameters, and there are no chances of any disturbances which are possible. There should not be any unknown parameters. Can we use the steady state optimization? Yes, it can be used in systems where we are having lot of past experiences and we have completely ensured that the system is functioning very smoothly. Only then we can implement such a system. If there are too many disturbances and if the relationships are not known, then it is not possible. So several mathematical techniques are available for solving the steady state optimal control problems by using differential calculus or calculus of variations, or by using a variety of mathematical programming methods. It is nothing but solving a certain equations to determine the input variables based on the required output variables. So there are several methods which can be used because we know the relationship between output and input parameters. The next type of continuous control system is the adaptive control. Now this is one of the more sophisticated types of continuous controls that are implemented, and the algorithms that are used in the controller are also quite sophisticated. So here we are having the input parameters to control the process. You are having the output variables. You are calculating the performance measure. The performance measure and the measured values both are being fed into the adaptive controller. But the adaptive controller, so as the name itself suggests, it is adaptive, which means even if there are certain disturbances in the process, or even if there is certain other changes which are not known, even then the output variables will be maintained at the required levels. That is the capability of the adaptive control system. So adaptive control system will take care of the disturbances. The question is, how does this do it? Just similar to the in adaptive control system also we should know the relationship between output and input parameters. We should have a very good mathematical model of this particular process. We should have the measure of the performance. We should have the performance index. Now what does the adaptive controller do? Basically the adaptive controller will ensure the best parameter to be modified to ensure that the performance measure is achieved. So which parameter to modify based on three functions of the adaptive controller. that is the identification, decision and modification. So these are the three internal steps of a adaptive control. The identification function involves determining the current performance index. So here we are considering the environment also changes, so the performance index also changes. The identification is to be done continuously at very short intervals of time. Then once the parameters are measured, the decision has to be taken regarding which input parameter has to be changed. The decision function is basically a logical function. Next is the modification function. So that is basically implementing the decision. So signals have to be given to proper actuators so that they are causing certain changes in the process to ensure the output variables are changing and the required performance index is achieved. So if you are taking the example we discussed earlier, that is a material removal rate. For example, no material is detected and we want to achieve a particular material removal rate. So in case of the adaptive control, it is possible to implement the program such a way that we can increase the feed rate, or if the material is very hard, then it is possible to decrease the feed rate, which may not be possible in the earlier systems. So if you are having a mathematical model explaining the relationship between the input parameters and output variables, and by using a proper decision functions, it is possible to implement the adaptive control. If you are not having the mathematical model, then you have to conduct experiments and we have to find out the relationship between the inputs and the outputs. Such a system is the online search strategies. Some other specialized continuous controls that can be implemented by using the expert systems, wherein large databases of information are collected and created, and depending on the situation that has arisen, the process parameters are selected appropriately to achieve the required performance measures. Or you can use artificial neural networks, or we can use for other artificial intelligence methods to achieve the required process parameters by knowing or by determining the relationship between input and output variables using either neural networks or other artificial intelligence methods. So the basic idea is to achieve the desired level of output variable by implementing some kind of control function at the input side of the process. Discrete control systems. These are used to control the discrete variables which are used in process industries as well as in discrete manufacturing industries. Usually the discrete variables are of binary type. Non-binary type discrete variables are also available, and pulse data type variables are also available. But most of the times the discrete variable are of binary kind, which means the variable can have only two values which can be on or off. Maybe if you take the example of a valve, either it is on or it is in the off position. If you take the example of the workpiece, whether it is located inside the machine or it is not located inside the machine. So in discrete control, the parameters and variables are changed at discrete moments in time, at maybe that is at fixed intervals. You are going to change their status, changing from on to off or from off to on position. That is a discrete control. So most of the times we are considering only the binary variables. So non-binary variables also can be controlled in the similar fashion. So whatever changes we are trying to achieve are broadly grouped into two categories. First one is the event driven changes, other one is the time driven changes. Event driven changes are those controls that have to be implemented based on some other activity which has happened. For example, if a particular machining component is under machining, if the machining is over, then only the CNC door has to open, the robot has to go inside, pick the component out. That can be an example of an event driven change. The other one is the time driven changes, which means these are the activities which will happen at a particular time and not dependent on any other event. Some of the examples can be the beginning of the shift, the ending of the shift in case of a factory floor. So these are some of the typical examples. Or maybe you want to perform a certain process for maybe some 1 hour. Maybe you are fixing the time, then at that particular time it is going to stop, or at the particular time a particular activity will going to start. From all these things are time driven changes. So time driven changes will happen irrespective of a particular event has happened or not, and is dependent purely on the time function, whereas event driven changes are purely dependent on the activity which has happened earlier. So the two types of changes correspond to two different types of discrete control. So you are having, so in discrete control some changes have to happen, so they can be event dependent or they can be time dependent. Accordingly you are required two types of controls. One is to control the event dependent changes. So such a control system is called as combinational logic control. Then you are having the sequential control, which is purely dependent on the time function. So most of the activities which are happening in case of a CNC machine or machining activity are basically a combinational logic control, because various activities have to happen one after the other. Sequential control can be implemented in the storage areas. So sequential control is implemented where the time for the activities are predefined and they are not going to change due to any internal disturbances. Then sequential control is much easier to implement because they need not wait for confirmation of other activities. Whereas in combinational logic control, some other activity has to happen, so that information has to be detected, then only the next control function can be implemented. But sequential control is purely dependent on time, so based on the time factor, different control functions can be implemented one after the other. So discrete control systems is a binary. Discrete control systems controlling discrete variables of binary kind are much simpler to implement because the range of variables what it has to detect is very small, but they are quite important in the smooth functioning of the overall processes. Discrete control systems used to control non-binary variables or pulsed data will be more complex than the control systems used where the variables are of binary kind.